Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining us from in Africa. We're glad you're here today. Welcome to the Yenching Academy info session. My name is Philip Steven, and I'll be your guide through the next 1 hour or so. Today, you're going to hear directly from three Yenching scholars, people who sat where you sat, where you're sitting right now, ask the questions you're about to ask, and make the decision to apply. We're here to make that journey a bit easier for you. Here's how the information session will go. We will start by brief introductions, then walk you through the program, the scholarships, what life really is like in Yenching Academy, and how to apply. We will keep presentations under 40 minutes to ensure that you have ample time to ask us the questions at the end. Now, before I dive in, I would love for you to meet the people sharing this information with me. The three of us come with different experience. Dr. Dixon David Abaji, who beyond being a scholar during his time, served as a teaching assistant for a couple of courses. Myself, who also worked aside being a scholar, being also worked in the admissions office during my second year. And Perpetual, who is currently a scholar and at the same time serves as a residential advisor for, Shawi and where scholars live. Between the three of us, we have seen this program from the inside in more ways than one, and we will do quick introductions, who we are, where we're from, and what brought us to Yenching. We'll start with Dr. Dixon, by the way. Dixon.
Yeah, thank you very much, Stephen. Hello, everyone. It's my pleasure to be here. My name is Agbaji Dixon David. I'm a Nigerian. I'm a research, policy, and teaching professional. I'm a PhD trained economics of education from Peking University. I did my master's program at the Yenching Academy of Peking University, the fifth cohort. And I have a strong, my research track was politics and international relations. So I have a strong track record in quantitative and qualitative methodologies and policy design. I also have professional experiences in international development, working for international organizations like UNICEF. I also worked for different consultancies, think tanks, and academic institutions with a strong knowledge of China and its global engagement. I am particularly drawn or interested to expanding a global understanding of China as well as human capital development across Africa. So that's just a little about me. Thank you very much for having me, and I'm looking forward to sharing my experiences during this info session.
Thank you, Dr. Dixon, for your introduction. My name is Perpetua Kujo. I'm a current Yenching scholar, and I'm in my second year. I'm currently doing history and archaeology, and I did my undergrad back in Ghana in public administration. So it's a big switch currently in my program. I've been working with few heritage organizations. That's what I specialize in. Even though I'm doing history and archaeology, my specialization is in cultural heritage preservation. And I've been interning in the World Heritage Institute of Research and Training under UNESCO. So basically, I'm into research currently on how to conserve heritage and research on how heritage could be protected currently. So that is what I do. And as a second year student, I'm also writing my thesis and hopefully graduate this year. So that's just a bit about me currently. Yeah.
All right, thank you both. As you already know, my name is Philip Steven. I'll keep my introduction a bit short. I'm from Nigeria. I graduated from the Yenching Academy in July of 2025, just last year. I applied at Yenching at a point whereby I was looking for a program that would not just give me a degree, but generally shift how I understand the world and China. Currently, I work as as a researcher at the Afro-Science Center of International Relations, and I also do some research with the Commonwealth Youth Gender and Equality Network as a research and policy lead. That's just been my life since graduating the Yenching Academy in 2025. In the fall, I will enroll for my PhD program. So that's just it. After a brief introduction from all of us, we would jump right straight into it right now. Dr. Dixon, over to you.
I'll be talking a little bit about, I'll be introducing the Yenching program basically. So Yenching Academy of Peking University is located in Peking University basically. So Peking University was founded in 1898. I think a few days ago, the university celebrated its 128th year anniversary. So it's a long time coming. So you're going to come into an institution, into an academy that is fully ingrained within the Chinese educational system. Okay, so the school is located in Beijing, the capital of China, and there's so many things I could talk about, but I'll just touch on several things. So there are significant monuments within the school that you'd also want to consider, just checking out or to explore even the Peking University Library, which is one of the biggest in Asia. So you also have the Boya Pagoda, the Weimin Lake. It's one of my favorite times on campus during winter when the lake freezes and then students go around to skate on it. So the Weimin Lake, the Boya Pagoda, and the other aspects on the Peking University campus. Now, the school itself, PKU, has several interdisciplinary programs. But since we're focused on Yenching, my main points here will be on Yenching Academy. So the main mission of Yenching Academy is to ensure that they build that it builds a bridge between China and the world through an interdisciplinary master's program in China studies. And then it also has a wide academic resources. So we are really integrated inside the Peking University community, as the case may be. So the program itself explore and takes advantage of the vast amount of academic resources that are available to ensure that students have a very good learning experience. And then lastly is the global connectivity. So because of this large pool of scholars from different backgrounds, you have this opportunity to interact with people from different communities, different backgrounds, understanding their worldviews and learning from them. So it's this relationship that you build during your time at the program that would, expand into like lifelong friendships. Can you go to the next slide, please?
Okay, yeah.
So just to give a highlight of the program itself, first of all, it's a 2-year master's program, right? So you have your first year you'll be doing your coursework in your first year. You your core and elective courses. You also do field studies and whatnot. Then in the second year, you have to submit your dissertation, but you have the opportunity to do any other thing you want to do, like professional stages, interning. When I also studied at Yenching, I did my internship, did PR assistantship and also teaching assistantship. So you have an opportunity to explore whatever it is you want to do in your second year, but as long as you submit you write and submit your thesis on time. Then you also have a full range of courses taught in English, and don't be scared if you don't have very strong Chinese proficiency. When I came to China, I had zero Chinese proficiency. But the program is designed in such a way that you have an opportunity to learn Chinese, and then you build up on that learning process at Yenching. Or you also have the opportunity to attend classes, not just in YC, but in Peking University as a whole. And this is one thing that I really like about the program, because we are, like I said, integrated within PKU. So we're not just living in a bubble. You have opportunity to attend classes in other schools, other faculties. Then the fellowship, so it's a full fellowship for the first year. The second year scholarship is not guaranteed, like it's not automatic. You have to meet several criteria. You'll be given information when you join about what those criteria are. So if you meet them, then you get the second year scholarship. So you have to make sure you work really, really, really hard in the first year. Don't not just see it as don't take it lightly. Put in your best foot, put in the work, and the second year should be easy for you to navigate. Then graduates also receive Peking University diploma that notes your research. Like for me, like I said, I did politics and IR, so that will be stated in your degree. And yeah, that's it. Can we move to the next slide as well? Okay, so Stephen, I guess you would have to cover this one on finances.
Thank you, Dixon. I wanted to take a moment to, emphasize on this next session because I think it changes the way you see the program and what is possible for you as a Yenching scholar. The Yenching Academy scholarship is fully funded, like Dr. Dixon previously mentioned. And I did not say that lightly. I mean that every major cost for the 2 years in Beijing is taken care of. So basically, your tuition for the 2 years is covered. Your accommodation is covered for the entire period of your study. You'll receive a monthly stipend and a one round trip travel stipend. That is before you come to Yenching, and after your studies, and when you're going back to your home country, you receive another travel stipend to go back. You also receive a basic medical insurance for 2 years, and you also receive funds for field trips.
So you receive funds for field trips, so different courses. At Yenching, several courses actually offer opportunities to go around to start to engage in field research. So Yenching Academy also supports that. Then, in addition to the basic scholarship package, YCA provides various funding opportunities. So in the first year, you have the Dean's Research Grants, the Opportunity Grants, and the Academic Exchange Grants. And then in the second year, you have a lot of different opportunities. Okay, so there's the Education Abroad program, Academic Exchange Grants, and there are other programs where you travel to other universities, spend a semester, if I'm not mistaken, studying there. And so just gaining like a deep dive into interdisciplinary research, not just within China, but outside, seeking different perspectives and different perspectives of approaching your study on China. And then there's also the opportunity grants and then student assistantship. So there are different student assistantship. Like I mentioned, I did the teaching assistant. Pepetra is currently residential assistant at the Shaoyuan dormitory. Stephen, you worked at the admissions teams, yeah?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we are all
great.
student assistants during our time.
So there's the different opportunities to help you grow, to give you a very wholesome experience about it. So it's not just about read, submit papers and what. No, you'd also gain very good experience within the program on how to navigate different organizations, different teams.
It's been a great experience being in YCA. Like I mentioned earlier, my background was mainly policy, public administration related, but then I decided to switch to history because I was so much interested in China's heritage conservation and archaeological preservation. And YCA gave me that opportunity, and lo and behold, I'm here studying with students from different backgrounds, engaging in cross-cultural interaction and getting to learn from different people through research and other field studies as well. So yeah, my life in Yenching has been amazing, has been rewarding, and yeah, I've learned a lot from that experience. Sorry, I think yeah, I would go ahead
Okay,
and talk
maybe
a
we
bit
want
more
to talk
about
a
the
little bit too about the curriculum.
Yeah, the curriculum. So in YCA, we have 6 main research areas. Every student is doing Masters in China Studies, but then within that, every student has to choose a specific research area. So like I mentioned, I am doing Masters in China Studies, but focusing on history and archaeology. And I believe that Dr. Dixon, you were doing politics and IR. Yeah, and Stephen was also doing politics and IR. And we have philosophy and religion, literature and culture, economics and management. And these are the different research areas that we have in YCA. And based on that specific research area, you have to write your thesis on them. So in the first year, we have core courses, elective courses, and required courses, of course, just like any other university. For the core courses, we have China in Transition, we have field studies, topics in China studies, academic writing, and these courses are compulsory and mandatory for every Yenching student to do. And then we have the elective courses, which are quantitative reasoning, qualitative research method, and critical thinking academic writing. I did a bit of the critical thinking academic writing. I don't know much about Dr. Dixon and Philip, but it's very academic based, just like all the other courses. But this actually makes you think critically outside the box and how to write how to write well in an academic environment. And also we have other required courses. So one of the main requirements in YCA is that based on your research area, you're supposed to do at least 2 major of your electives before you're able to graduate. So if I would go more into details as we go on, but as history and archaeology students, I have to make sure I do 2 courses within the history and archaeology track before I'm able to graduate. The same goes for politics and IR, literature and culture, philosophy and religion, and all the other research areas. And also for Chinese language, it is required for every international student. And don't panic, don't panic. It's not, if you don't have any Chinese background, it's fine. When you come, you'll be grouped based on your Chinese level. I was in class 3 when I came. It's different levels, but I was in the middle class when I came. There are some who had 0 Chinese studies, and when they came, they had their own classes. So Yenching gives us that opportunity to adjust to the Chinese learning process based on our own abilities and the level of knowledge that we have on the language. And also for the last 2 points, it's mainly for students in mainland China and from Hong Kong and Macau and Taiwanese students as well. So they have a different course that they have to take because as a Chinese student, you already know the language, so you don't need to take the class. So then Yenching provides another opportunity to do a specific course. But this wouldn't be too much related to us, so I'll move on to the next one. So as I mentioned earlier, in every research, we have different courses. So these are the elective courses that we have for all the research areas. So for China Studies, Politics and IR, we have the Theory and Practice of Chinese Foreign Policy, Cultural Dimensions of China's Foreign Relations. All the political aspects and perspective courses are done within the Politics and IR Relations track. And then we have the Economics and Management, which also deals with China's economy, international trade, the reforms, understanding China's economic governance. All of those courses are also in relation to the Economics and Management track. And then the Law and Society likewise also has courses in relation to law, about society, women, the legal dynamics in China, and yeah. So these are all the core courses. But like I mentioned earlier on, you have to do at least two of these these elective courses before you are allowed to graduate or write a thesis in that specific research. So then for history and archaeology, we have developments of Chinese civilization, Chinese cultural heritage studies, formation of Chinese civilization, and the list goes on and on. Philosophy and religion, likewise, and then literature and culture, the same as well. So we have different courses based on the research area that you have. Is it okay if I ask you guys what was your best class, your favorite class among all of these?
Steven, go first.
Dr. Dixon
Uh,
or Steven, you want to go
I
first?
think it's quite difficult to make a choice because the classes you are so fascinating and interesting. But if I were to narrow it down to two courses, I would say Women in Contemporary China, which was one of the elective I
Mm.
took, Art Society track, and Chinese Perspective on Global Migration. Those are my two favorite courses. And the second was because I worked in the field of migration for 2 years in Africa, so it was nice to see it from the Chinese perspective, how they view migration. Then for the other one, Women in Contemporary China, it was quite interesting because it was a class filled with different people from different parts of the world, different expertise. So it was nice to see how, reforms and, the issues of women and gender, works across these various countries. So it was memorable 2 years of my life and, great courses, I would say. So those are my two favorites. Dixon?
I would say I also echo your views. Like there were very very interesting course selections, and it's actually quite difficult to pinpoint one. But I think um, I would select retrospect and prospects of China's global engagement. I think I got the course title correct. It's a course that just looks basically at how China engages with the world. So one reason I really liked it was it's not just looking at China, but it's more or less okay, how do we see China within international development engagement? So my research focuses on foreign investment and development aid. So that course really, really echoed to me. So I was looking at this from, say, China-Africa relations, China-Latin America, China-Europe. So we had different elements, just look different layers of China's engagement in the world and how this influences China's position in the global order. So that course actually really, really stood out to me, and it helped me decide on my future trajectory for my PhD and how I would just place myself to direct myself for my next steps post YCA. So yeah, that's it.
Okay. That's amazing. Thank you guys for your feedback on that. I think we can go to
Maybe I'll
the
just go
next
straight
one.
to the
I
research
think
second
Dr.
year.
Dixon will take it from here.
Yes, I will. So,
Okay.
Perpetua, thank you so much for talking about the first year. So, I hope we're not scared about the first year. There's a lot of coursework. So please, when you get in, just make sure that you do your work, make sure that you meet all of the different criteria. And then, the second year will be smooth, right? So for the second year, like I said earlier on, you're basically writing your dissertation, your thesis, okay? So the second year is more or less your transition, okay? So about one thing we have in YCA is you have faculty advisors and then thesis advisors. Perpetua, can we go to the next slide, please, so that I don't see.
Okay.
Yeah, so for the faculty advisors are just the major role is to help you settle in into the program, into the system, into the university. Okay, so in a way you need someone to advise you on how to go about, course selection, how to make coherent academic arguments, and what have you in the whole system. So it's just to help you know that you have a professional and expert to guide you on how to go about your academic life on campus. So if you have specific questions that you probably don't want to ask your colleagues or you don't even want to ask any other person, you have the faculty advisor who is actually a teacher, a professor on campus to put you through on these things. So Yenching, it's designed in such a way that you'd have support throughout the entire process. So it is not compulsory for you to retain your faculty advisor, but it is recommended to retain your faculty advisor as your thesis advisor, in the sense that you've already built a coherent rapport with this person, like in your first year. So, I mean, if there's a need for you to continue that relationship, fine and good. But if you want to change to someone else, I mean, you have the opportunity to choose that. So you can see here you have around over 160 academic advisors from 26 schools and departments at Peking University. I did politics and area, so I chose my own faculty advisor. I retained my faculty advisor precisely. So I chose someone from the School of International Studies. And so depending on your specialization, your research track, you can just choose anyone from any of the schools. Can we go to the next slide, please, Professor?
Okay.
Yeah. So same thing with literature and culture, history and archaeology, philosophy and religion. So you can just look through all of these, and then you'd see the diversity of the learning environment. So beyond, no worries, let's go to the next slide. So maybe I should just talk a little bit about my own dissertation. So my dissertation topic is the impact of Chinese foreign direct investment in Africa, the case of skill transfer. So I was not just looking at Chinese engagement within Africa, I was looking at it based from the perspective of human capital development. So how does Chinese engagement in Africa, particularly in Nigeria, influence skill transfer? So so this boils down to the fact that if you're coming into Yenching, your program has to be China focused. Okay, so you need to make sure that you focus on China. So it's not just looking at only China alone. It could be, say, China Africa, China Europe, somewhere, but make sure that there's an element of China within the entire discourse. Okay, and then you also have field trips, field study, where you go around. So China in transition, you have the field trip. I think in my own time we went to Chengdu and Chongqing. But then the locations could change depending on the direction of the academy. I don't, Perpetua, where did you guys travel to last time?
Oh, we went to Hangzhou.
Hangzhou, you see,
We went to
so
Hangzhou and Ningbo. Yeah, it was
I
amazing.
live.
It was amazing. Yeah.
Good. So
Yeah.
it's always interesting to see how it's planned, how it's designed, so students just get a wholesome experience. So we like saying study China within China, okay? So you get an awesome experience, not just reading, but you go out and experience what's happening. All of these different institutions, places that have been crucial to China's transition over the last couple of years. Then can you go to the next slide, please? So we talked about China's transition field study, different areas where we've gone to. Then there have also been distinguished speakers. Just go straight to the slide on distinguished speakers. So we, like I mentioned, the Yenching Academy is an interdisciplinary program, okay? So we tap into, or the program is designed to tap into the different intellectual environments of Peking University campus outside. So different speakers being invited who come in with their different experiences. These are like top people, leaders within their different industries and institutions or area of specialization. So they come in, share their ideas. So you're not just learning theories, you're actually listening to people who have done the work, okay? So you have the opportunity to ask them, oh, I was reading about this somewhere. I mean, I heard you did this. what was the thought system? So you can get a situation where these people actually tell you their experiences, what pressures they were on, what pressures they felt, or what inspired the different decisions or steps that they took towards taking the actions that they took. You get so the different opportunities for you to explore, and you learn from people who have first-hand experiences within areas of your choosing. And then there's also the Yenching Global Symposium. But Stephen, I think I'll just pass this over to you so you discuss.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Yenching Global Symposium, interestingly, celebrated over a decade of, its existence, this year, in April this year. So it's an entirely run student event. The idea of the symposium itself is to gather thought leaders, students, young, professionals all around the world for a week-long, study in China that touches on different thematic areas and different areas of China and understanding the world. Like I said, it's entirely student run. So students from the Yenching Academy form the executive committee, and they come up with a team of the year, and they recruit volunteers from Peking University and Yenching Academy as well, and invite delegates from all over the world. I think about 200 delegates or so every year, every April. It happens every April. And, I was privileged during my time to be part of the executive committee members where I served as a director of volunteers. So it was a very, very interesting experience for me. And when I think back in 2022, I was a delegate, and in 2023, I was a Yenching scholar and also part of the executive committee members. So it was like a full circle moment for me. We get support from the Yenching Academy to organize this event, and the funding actually comes from the Yenching Academy as well. And all delegates from around the world receive a it's a fully funded event. Both your flights and your accommodations are covered during the period of the symposium. Next slide, please. Next slide, Perpetual. Okay, so over the years, previous slide, please. Uh,
I
Previous
think it
slide.
takes
Is this
some
Yeah,
seconds
is
before.
it this
yes,
one?
yes. Over the years, this is the various themes that have happened, and the various themes of the conference of the symposium that have held over the last 10 years. You can see innovation there, you can see Renaissance. We try to be creative with the name, so most times it's a combination of Chinese characters and English wordings as well. We merge them together, and I think Dixon also was part of the 2022, which one was Woman, telling the China story, or shared renewal, if I can remember correctly. But interestingly, in my own cohort, I was part of the 2023 cohort, so we organized the 2023 event, which was actually very, very interesting to be part of. Next slide, please.
The next slide is on extracurricular activities. Perhaps Pepeka would handle
Oh,
that.
this is a next slide. Yeah, so
Hello,
can you hear me?
sorry.
Yeah, the previous slide, please.
Yeah, hello. The previous one. This one. The
Yeah,
Yenching
yeah,
Global
interesting.
Symposium.
Good.
Okay.
So during
Okay.
my cohort, we organized this one Equilibrium Award in Balance. So this was the one I was privileged to be part of during my cohort. We organized it, and it was quite interesting. In 2024, last year, it was organized, and its theme was Fortitude, navigating the tides of change. Then this year, harnessing momentum. Interestingly, one of the questions people always ask is that, do I have to have attended this symposium before I can apply to be a Yenching scholar? The answer is no. I was just lucky to be part of both sides. I applied before I got in, and when I got in, I was part of the executive committee members. So if you're thinking of, applications usually open every December through January, and the conference always holds around April. Yeah. So next slide. Yeah. So interestingly, we organized lots of extracurricular activities.
Sorry,
We
Stephen,
organized
is this okay
interesting.
now?
Yeah, it's okay. Yes, we organize lots of extracurricular
Okay, all right.
activities. The idea is to ensure that you have experiences outside the academics, outside the so many courseworks that you do in your first year. I think about 31 units of coursework in your first year. So we also try to have some sort of fun during our first year. But I will leave this to Perpetual. Perpetual serves as an RA, and I think they are the landlords, or the as we call it in Africa, or the organizers of such events when it comes to fun activities. So yeah, she'll brief us on that.
All right. I'll take it from here. So when it comes to extracurricular activity, YCA makes sure we are well vested in it. We are able to learn not just within the classrooms but outside the classroom. So there are different opportunities like that, from organizing games to special calligraphy classes. We have other clubs that we encourage students to join, and like Stephen mentioned, I'm currently serving as a residential advisor for my cohort and the 11th cohort as well. And as part of my role, I'm supposed to ensure there's an inclusive environment where everyone gets to partake and contribute. It's a way of creating a cross-cultural system where we learn from each other. And I guess that means I have to organize a lot of events. So I work with five other Yenching scholars, and we try to do it regularly, but at least once every month or twice every month, we organize events for the students. So the event could range from, like I mentioned, games. It could range from learning a specific cultural art or craft. It could also be partaking in a musical or something unique or different. We also have a special Shaoyan salon where students get to present or talk about anything interesting that they would love to share. So we have a lot of these activities that we do here as Yenching scholars, and as part of my role, I ensure that we create these events to make sure the students are connected, and also their not just their academic life but also their personal life are more grown into people where they would learn from each other and not just be in a little bubble. So yeah, that's one of my duties here as a residential advisor, and those are some of the activities that we do to ensure an inclusive environment here in YCA. And I guess it's an important task as well because it also helps me to contribute to the bigger or the larger society of YCA, and not just being in the classroom with the students, but also outside the classroom, helping them with their personal challenges or any questions or curiosities that they may have. So yeah, I guess that is some of my roles here in YCA. Yeah. I guess we can talk about the scholars
Yeah.
overview. Stephen or Dr.
Yeah,
Dixon? One of
thank you,
you.
Petrol. Interestingly, YCA scholars know how to have fun, and you've heard so much about the extracurricular activities. We don't just focus on academics alone. We still try to have fun when we can, and so many activities in your first 2 years, which makes it a whole complete experience on its own. So now we are jumping right into the scholars overview. Like Dr. Dixon mentioned earlier, YCA is like a mini United Nations. So being a scholar, you already have an idea what United Nations basically might potentially look like. So let's take a moment to like paint a picture of what the scholars, or where the scholars are drawn from over the last let's say 11 years now. So in the last 11 years, we've had 4% of scholars come from Africa. Hence the importance of this info session. We encourage more Africans to apply. In Europe, we've had 23%. Over the last 11 years. In Asia, 39%, in North America, 27%, in Latin America, 5%, and in Oceania, 2%. So this is where basically the breakdown of scholars over the last 11 years of the academy, or 10 years of the academy. Next slide. So we've had over, scholars from over 412 universities, and top universities with highest number of YCA scholars are presented below. Interestingly, Peking University ranks number one. Over 50 students of Peking University have enrolled in YCA as scholars. We have University of Cambridge over there with 41. We have Oxford, we have Harvard. So your classmates are mostly from top universities over the world. But again, this is what makes the program very, very interesting as well. We've also had from Renmin University of China, we've had from Yale University, so many universities across different parts of the world, Asia, Latin America, US, North America, and the likes. Next slide. So this is the educational background of international Yenching scholars. Take note, every year we admit about 115 to 120 scholars, but these are just international scholars alone. So over the last 10 years, scholars from 2015, for example, we could see that most of the scholars that came in as scholars or were admitted, 64 of them came with bachelor's degree, while 7 came with master's degree. So at any point in your career, you could come into YCA, you could apply and get selected to YCA. So typically, a class is made up of, by a class, I mean a cohort group. It's made up of, people that have bachelors and those that even have a master's, and Yenching is their like second master's. In the most recent, we had, 62% of the scholars or 62 of the scholars, coming with a bachelor degree, and 17 coming as withholding master's degree. Interestingly, I had friends also, as well while I was in Yenching Academy. I had friends who, came straight out from master's program, and for someone like me, I didn't have a master's before coming to Yenching, so it was my first master's experience. So it kind of makes the class more interesting. You have classmates, you have maybe roommates, you have maybe friends, that maybe have master's degree, and they could see things from different perspective. They're a bit more advanced. Some of them also come with like professional experience, with like 2 or 3 years working experience, and that adds to the flavor of the academy. Next slide. So research areas, Pepe 12 did a great job to tell you the 6 research areas that comprise of YCA. Politics and IR, interestingly, always have the highest number of scholars. Over the last 10 years, we've had 415 of scholars choose politics and IR. And it's interesting to see that, among the 3 of us right here, I and Dixon did politics and IR, and Perpetual is left out. So you see why there's always a rush. I don't know why, but every scholar always has, most scholars always prefer to choose politics and IR. Economics and management has 341, law and society 198, literature and culture 109, history, where Perpetual belongs, 74, and philosophy and religion
Come
46. So this
on.
is like the breakdown. This is a breakdown of when scholars apply to the program. So when you apply to the program, you select the track. So most of the time, scholars pick politics and IR. This is not to say if you pick a lesser or a much more populated track, it increases your chances or not. That's not the case. That's not how it works. Just pick what you have interest in. For me, it was easy to pick politics and IR because I did politics and IR in my undergraduate program. Same as Dixon as well. He studied politics and IR. So it's always best to stick within your track from your undergraduate, or if you want to explore like perpetual, of course, free. Yeah, but we
Yeah.
encourage students to take classes from different subjects, which makes it very, very interesting. Most of my classes in YCA were from law and
Then,
society, even though I was in yeah, next slide.
yeah. Sorry, is it okay if I jump on that?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
What you mentioned, what you mentioned is very, very important, and I guess we'll talk more about it during the application part of the series. But like Steven said, most of the time it's better to stick to the program that you studied initially or what actually interests you. So my switch from history and archaeology has a lot to do with passion, but not just passion. It was action as well. I knew I was interested in it, but I didn't have a background in it. So what did I do? I tried to go outside my way to learn it on my own. So I was taking part in like different courses, just doing online courses, trying to educate myself in that specific area. And that is what YCA wants to see. You don't just have the passion for it. Like what pushes you to do outside of that. You talking about passion is not enough. You have to do something to prove to them that you really want that thing. You really want to study it and have a reason for studying it. And I would encourage students who would love to apply, which would love to see you this next academic year, that if you want to switch to if you want to do a different research area from your previous background, then you should have not just the reason and not just the passion, but an action towards that to show your level of how should I say it, your understanding and your motivation for doing that specific thing. So sorry for cutting you off, but I just wanted to add that part. Stephen, you may continue.
Yeah, next slide, please. Okay, so Yenching scholars from Africa, I think this is very, very important for us since this is a regional info session focused on Africa. So most of the times people ask me that question that I want to apply, but I don't know if Africans are much in the program or some things like that. And it's interesting that 3 years ago, what motivated me to apply was a virtual info session like this, with Dr. Dixon in it, and I heard the passion at which he spoke about the program. I was like, oh, my Nigerian brother is there. So I have to apply to this program as well. Interesting. So over the last 10 years of the program, we've had scholars from Africa, and you can see the breakdown of countries that are represented in the program. This is not to say if you're from a different African country, you can apply. We have 54 African countries. So we are even looking for more Africans in the program or more representation of Africans across the program. You can see where, the university some of these Africans have niched from. We have University of Ghana there. We have Landmark University, where I'm from. You have Makerere University. You have University of Calabar, where Dr. Dixon is from. You have USIU, United States International University of Africa, which is in Kenya, and you have Obafemi Awolowo University. So over the last 10 years of the program, 44 African students from 11 countries have been admitted into the program, with South Africa ranking the highest. 15. Nigeria, we have 8 scholars that have been selected from the program. In Kenya, 6. Ghana, 5. Eswatini, 2. Uganda, 2. Zimbabwe, 2. And the list goes on and on. So if you're from a different African country that's not represented here, we encourage you to apply to see more representation. Like I said, it's 54 countries in Africa. So it's encouraged that we have more representation of not just universities, but also countries. Next slide. Yeah, so when it comes to tracks chosen by Yenching scholars over the last 11 years, 44 of the Yenching scholars have always chosen, different tracks across the different, disciplines in Yenching Academy, with politics and IR, like we said earlier, ranking as number one with 52% of Africans that have come into the program select politics and IR. But like we said previously, the reason for this is mostly because this is what most of them did in undergraduate, or most of them have an interest in China-Africa relations, which always falls into politics and IR. We've also had economics and management, which ranks as the second with 29.5% of African scholars over the last 11 years choosing economics as their second choice, or as the second top choice. We have law and society there at 2.3%. We have philosophy and religion at 2.3%, and we have history and archaeology there. So you can see this is just a geographical representation, or a chart representing the different tracks that the 44 scholars have always chosen as their interest. So like I said, you can have a different interest, but like Perpetua also said in the earlier, ensure that you match your passion with action. So if you want to switch, ensure that you are taking the process right now, maybe to take an online course. Let's say your current degree is on politics and IR, and you want to do a degree in history and archaeology when it comes to YCA. We encourage you to start taking some classes online, some videos or some helpful materials that's going to help you make applications stronger, because it's going to be pretty difficult to justify why you are switching from your undergraduate if you don't have, let's say, an action plan. Next slide. Yeah, so for career support and leadership development, I think the next
Don't
speaker
worry,
is.
I'll take that.
Yeah.
Okay. So, for career support and leadership development, the Yenching Academy program, one of the things that really appeals me to it is because it sits at the intersection of rigorous academic training and leadership development with a forward-thinking approach of preparing future global leaders with an understanding of China and the world. So, just to fulfill this particular element of its mission in a way. Yenching Academy organizes different programs to ensure that students are able to transition from the program into whatever it is they want to do for their future engagement within their short-term or long-term plans. Okay, so there are career days where different companies come in to talk about themselves and also invite applications from Yenching scholars and maybe different openings at their companies or what they're doing just to, pike the interest of the Yenching scholars towards looking towards them. We also have our employee campus talks, company visits, and our alumni talks. So there are different internship programs. So Yenching Academy encourages students to engage in internship programs. Like I told you, I did my internship at UNICEF. I also worked with our cohort and did several other internships. So there's that opportunity for you to engage not just within the Peking University community, but also the broader Chinese society. So sometimes you're going off campus to work. So it just gives you that opportunity to see China or Beijing from a different light. Okay. And then there's also one-on-one career consultation. So please, next slide. There are also different programs that have been designed to ensure that students are also, the Yenching scholars are also able to gain experience from leaders in their field, experts in the field, particularly the leadership, professional leadership mentorship program. So you have like a one-on-one engagement with a leader in the field where you tend to more or less enter into their own area of expertise. You get into their own resources where they can help connect you with someone if you're interested in a particular research area, or you just more or less benefit from their resources. So you also learn from their own years of experiences. So Yenching gives this opportunity for scholars to have like a first-hand learning experience. And career pathways, please, next slide, please. So career pathways for different Yenching alumni. So I think 2 slides. The next one, please. Next one. So after graduation, most Yenching scholars actually do further studies. So a lot of us do PhD afterwards. Then some people also do masters, like a second masters, and then others do non-degree programs. And then for some other people, they tilt towards employment, so they go into the labor markets, and the industries that they've actually mostly looked at is education. No, wait, the next slide, just this one. So the industry that they're basically focused on is education, finance. So a lot of them work in government, a lot of them work in consulting firms, a lot of them work in international organizations. So the opportunities available to you are vast after finishing from Yenching. So you don't just limit yourself, okay? And then please, next slide. And then also being we've had over 1,100 scholars, okay? So one of the biggest selling points of the program is the diversity of scholars. So you have a different, vast alumni network. You're interested in joining the program, somebody somewhere has probably done what you're interested in. So you can go on the Yenching Academy website, look through the different scholars, and just reach out to any one of them, and they'll be willing to help. So within the whole alumni activities, we've had alumni mentorship chats where different scholars who have finished come back on campus, share their experiences on what they're doing post YCA, and also offer advice. There's also the alumni reading group that meets every month to share their thoughts on a particular reading, a particular book that they have read for that particular month, and other programs like the alumni forum. So I think I'll just stop here, and then we should explore how do you actually apply. So Stephen and Pepecha, I think you would handle this one.
All right. Yeah. So the application process, or mainly the requirements for YCA is usually very, very simple. If you are an international student, you're supposed to have at least a minimum of bachelor's degree. If you have a master's degree, you can apply as well. But the main requirement is you should have at least a bachelor's degree in a specific or any field that you want. And if possible, like we've talked earlier, should be linked to, if you're trying to choose a specific research area, the degree should be linked to that. And also, there are candidates, or let's say YCA has other partner universities and cooperating universities that they work with. So usually if you want to apply, it's better to check with your university whether it's a partner university with YCA, and then you apply through your university. So we have different channels depending on the university that you attend. Usually the application portal opens around September, right? Dr. Dixon, can you remind me? It should be around September. And the deadline is around December.
Yes.
Around September, yeah. So that is when the the portal opens. So you can prepare from now till then, get everything ready. It's very advisable to prepare everything in order before the actual application opens, because then you are more than ready. You already have everything you need and just submit, and you are able to submit earlier. The earlier, the better, as always. And if you are currently studying or already in your bachelor's program, you should make sure at least you graduate no later than 31st of the year that you will be enrolling in the program. So you can apply if you're still in your bachelor's degree, but you just have to make sure you would graduate and get your certificate before the program actually starts. That's if you are admitted to the program. And I think I've already talked about this. Yeah. Okay. So what are some of the main requirements aside from your bachelor's degree or your master's degree? You have to have an outstanding academic record. What sets you apart from other people? What have you achieved in your studies that is unique, and why should YC admit you instead of someone else? So there should be some kind of community engagement activity that you participated in, some leadership potential in you, because YC is not just training students, they are training future leaders that are ready to learn and connect. So then there should be something that sets you apart from the larger number of students that are applying, because the number of students that apply every year is just massive, and you should have something different that sets you apart, like I've mentioned. And you should also demonstrate interest in exploring diverse cultures, which is very important. YC is a diverse community. When I say diverse, very, very diverse, because you have students coming from all around the world, different background, different perspectives. So it's a huge opportunity to learn from other people. But what sets you apart should also be why you want to be here and be around all these people. What are you ready and willing to learn from these people? So it's also an important eligibility requirement. And you should also have a strong interest in learning about China. So it's masters in China studies. So why China? What do you want to do here? Why do you want to come here? What would you want to achieve in the long run that YC should provide you, which will align with your career path? So there are these questions that you need to ask yourself. Are you really interested in learning about China? Because at the end of the day, your research and everything will have to be linked to China in one way or the other. So you should have all these prepared. Why do you want to come to China? And why should YC fund you to come and study here? And yeah, like I've talked, well-articulated rationale for being an Yenching scholar wanting to come to study in YC. And English proficiency. So if you come from an English-speaking country, then you can use an MOI. But if you don't, then you need an IELTS or a TOEFL to apply for that. And yeah, some of the required, like I've mentioned, you need a certificate of English proficiency if you're not from an English-speaking country, or your English was not entirely taught. Your program, your bachelor's or master's program was not entirely taught in English. Then you need to provide an IELTS or TOEFL, and there are specific, or the Cambridge one as well. There are specific ranges or marks you're supposed to get to be able to apply and get in. And yeah, so your certificate as well, your transcript, your personal statements, very important. I think Dr. Dixon would dive more into that, but yeah, you need a very, very strong personal statement. Aside from everything that I've said, why is it important for you to come and study in China, and why should YC fund you for this specific program? And also your statement of research interest. So the research areas that we talked about initially, which one are you going to choose? Which one aligns with your previous background? If you want to switch, why do you want to switch to a different research area? And all of that are very, very important when you're writing your statement of research interest, because that's the proposal, the thesis that you might eventually work on here in YCA. So you need to take into consideration what exactly you want to come and do here, and how you're going to write that proposal is very important. Your resume as well, what you've been doing over the years, you need to prepare very strong resume, like I mentioned, will set you apart from other students that are applying. And you need 2 academic letter of recommendation. So this is also equally important, because the letters need to come from either full professors or associate professors only. So you would have to get professors or associate professors who have interacted with you, who know your academic level, who know you as a student and your potential and your ability to work in the diverse academic environment, who can write these letters for you. So letters of recommendation, very, very important. And like I mentioned, they should come from full professors or associate professors only. Highlights only. Okay.
No
Yeah,
worry, I'll just go.
I think that should be all. Dr. Dixon, do you want to add something? Or Stephen?
Yeah,
Yeah, I can
Stephen,
go
should
ahead.
I? Sorry,
Yeah,
who that?
I can go ahead. I can go ahead. I just want to clarify on MOI perpetual mention for those that are not from English-speaking countries. Let's say you are from Cameroon or from
Good.
other African countries that English is not the primary language. MOI simply means medium of instruction later. So you can be from, let's say, non-African, non-English speaking country, but if your medium of instruction in your undergraduate program was taught in English, you can get a letter from your school to signify that English was a medium of instruction for all your undergraduate courses or for the 4 or 3 years of your program, and that's acceptable as well. Then for your personal statement, of course, 750 words. This is where you get to tell the committee why YCA and what strikes you about the program. Committee reads hundreds of applications, so the one that always stands out is the one where we feel or they feel like a real person wrote it with genuine conviction. So this is your chance to tell all of those beautiful stories and all of those real stories that makes you as a person and that makes you as a future YC scholar. Then statement of research interest, 1,500 words, excluding citations. So like every academic, writing, there has to be citations or references. So it's very, very important. Then lastly, very, very important is the academic letters of recommendation, which must be from full professors or associate professors. In the African context, we can have senior lecturers who are also at the same cadre as associate professors. So let's say in Nigeria, for example, senior lecturers are also classified as associate professors. So I don't know how it is in your African country, but where you're from. So, but if you have senior lecturers or senior professors, whatever the nomenclature is, they are still the same thing, is acceptable. And this must be people that are well familiar with your academics, your progression over the last, let's say, 3 or 4 years, that know you very well. I think a letter from a professor that knows you very well is much more important than a professor that doesn't have so much idea about you or your research interest or your research focus. So start early to reach out to your recommenders. You have applications is always around September to the first week of December is always a deadline. So you have the next 4 months to start, making your plans ready for YCA. Next slide.
Okay, so if I could just quickly jump in here, um, please start early. Work against last minute applications. It's gonna show once you rush your applications. Okay, so please try as much as you can to start early. It is always recommended that you start early. You need time. Secondly, don't just write generic statements. Okay, there are things that are unique about you as an individual, as an applicant. Okay, so just tell those stories. Don't just don't sit back and give like a general idea about you. No, because you're competing with not just people from your country. You're not competing with Nigerians. You're not just even competing with Africans.
Mm.
You're competing with a global admission pool. Okay, so work as hard as you can. Then strengthen your proposal. Ask people who are research experts who can help direct, who can help give you a strong proposal. So you have like a good research question, good research objective hypotheses. What are your methodologies? Are you using quantitative or qualitative research, or maybe even mixed method to answer your different research questions? So you need a strong research proposal, and then make sure your work is focused on China. We've been saying this. This is a China studies program, so your work has to be focused on China. So even if you don't want to do holistically on China, it's going to be maybe China, Africa, like I said, like what I did, or maybe even China, Europe, or do like a comparative study of something that's happening within China, something happening maybe in your region or within your country. And then lastly would be ignoring your reference choices. Stephen and Pepecha already hammered on this, so there's no reason for me to speak on this. So please also give your referees time, enough time. Don't give them 1 week or 2 weeks, or just give them enough time. Because bear in mind that you're probably not the only person asking them for a reference data. They are also busy teaching courses, writing lecture notes. So please give them enough time. That's that on my side. Stephen.
Thank you. I think for next, for Yenching academic admission inquiries, please contact YCA/admissions at pku.edu.cn. You can see the English website there as well. And on Twitter, currently known as X, at pku.yca. Then you can also check on Facebook and Instagram at Yenching Academy. On LinkedIn, it's the Yenching Academy of Peking University. If you have a WeChat, there is the name as well. So if you have any admission inquiries, questions about eligibility, questions about, your recommendations, or any question of any choice you might have as regarding the application, it's always best to ask for clarity. In Africa, we say a proverb that who asks these questions never misses the road. So if you don't want to miss the road, it's always best to ask questions for direction. And yeah, to the next slide. I think that's about it.